I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 3rd, 2015 meeting of the school board. Anybody wishing to speak during tonight's meeting, during hearing of citizens, if you pick up a card in the back, give them to Zoe Marshall and I will call you up during that time. If you would please stand for the flag salute by the Booker High School Color Guard under the direction of Colonel Morris Weiss. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome our student representative from Booker High School, Robbie Hodson. And Robbie, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Hi, I'm a senior at Booker High School. I've been going to Booker for 4 years. I hope to attend Duke University next year and study pre-medicine.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Okay, we'll move on to special presentations, and I'd like to ask Karen Rose to come forward.
Good evening, Superintendent Lori White, School Board Chair Kovach, and school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight the Booker Middle School Visual and Performing Arts program and share a preview of the middle school STEM program with Booker Middle School and McIntosh Middle School teachers and students. I'm very excited to introduce our narrator for this evening, Lily Mancini from the Booker Middle School Visual and Performing Arts program. Lily?
Good evening. First, I'd like to invite the board to be seated in the first row. Good evening to our honored school board members. Good evening to Superintendent White, and good evening to all of our guests. I am Lily Mancini, and I am an 8th grade student in the Booker Middle School VPA, Musical Theater, and Chorus programs. I'm happy to serve as your narrator for the evening. give our Booker Middle School's guitar ensemble one more round of applause. You have just witnessed the magic of our middle schools moving full steam ahead while cultivating those 21st century technology skills. Already this evening, under the director of Mr. Greg Nielsen, you have been able to enjoy the sound of our Booker Middle Jazz Band. Thank you to all of our student representatives, and let's give them a round of applause too. Wow is the word that comes to mind when you walk into one of Sarasota County's comprehensive middle schools. It is apparent that today we live in a technology and media-suffused environment with access to an abundance of information, rapid changes in technology tools, and the ability to collaborate and make individual contributions on an unprecedented scale. To be effective in the 21st century, students must be able to create, evaluate, and effectively utilize information, media, and technology while mastering 21st century standards that will empower them to be college and career ready. Tonight, we invite you to join us on a journey of teaching and learning in the Sarasota County Middle Schools. Next, we have an amazing monologue directed by Miss Carrie Mills and written by Booker Middle Drama student Katie Terrace. This monologue represents the knowledge sharing among all stakeholders in our community. It also highlights the importance of how we as a community can and will continue to build sustainable models of education for our 21st century learners.
All I seem to hear about these days is STEAM this and STEAM that, and STEAM is what you need to succeed. Honestly, I wasn't that convinced. So I did what any other normal teenager would do, and I started to bug people about it. So I figured I'd start close to home. So I asked my best friend. Here's what she offered. A STEAM education gives you a wide variety of things to learn. Like, it offers you a big variety of learning choices. It helps you prepare for, like, the real world, like college and stuff. It puts sort of your sense of skill into your mind. As we were talking, my teacher kind of butted in, but what he said really made me think. A STEAM education lets you get experiences that most kids don't get. It lets you be creative, diverse, and learn at your own pace. When kids like you are engaged like that, well, it makes my job easier because you actually enjoy learning. That night at dinner, I couldn't believe it. It had followed me home. Who wasn't talking about STEAM these days? My sister mentioned something about school, and my mom offered this. A STEAM education gives you, my children, different techniques of how to learn. It prepares you for different future careers and situations that you may encounter in the future. Now, drink your milk. Aw, Mom. But maybe she had a point. Middle school wasn't as bad as everyone said it would be. Sure, there were the regular teenage people that everyone had to deal with. But besides that, school was pretty interesting. So I just kept talking to people. And people actually had something interesting to say. Like this one person. We were both waiting in line for our lattes, and our conversation sort of went like this. There has to be a foundation of learning for success in the future. Without it, kids can't succeed. There's no substitute for a good education. See, there's a disadvantage now because there's so many distractions. Kids can't find that love of learning like I did. Although you may have an advantage over me. Kids nowadays, they have resources at their fingertips that they can use. They can use technology to help enhance their education. The arts help them incorporate what they love into learning and help contribute themselves into society. It really helps put what you love into learning. After hearing what everyone had to say, it really made me sort of excited about going to school. I mean, I was getting involved in all of these conversations, right? I know, that sounds corny, but it's true. STEAM is making my future better. What about yours? Thank you.
Now, please direct your attention to the TV monitors as Booker Middle teacher Isaiah Carpenter and students Madeline Sia and Madison Hancock emphasize a deep understanding, rather than a shallow knowledge of teaching and learning in math.
Good evening. I'm Isaiah Carpenter. I'm a teacher at Booker Middle School. I teach Course 2 Advanced Math. The activity that you guys are looking at on the monitors right now was filmed during my first period last week. I designed a performance test for our students to show mastery of writing and solving two-step algebraic expressions in a real-world scenario. You will see the students actually talking about a trip for their friends to the movies and cost and things of that nature. Right now, I would like to welcome these two students that were in it. I have Madeline Shea and Madison Hancock, and they will explain what they discovered during the activity.
Hello, my name is Madeline Sia.
And I am Madison Hancock. We are 6th graders in Mr. Carpenter's Course 2 Advanced Math class.
As you watch the video on the monitors, you can see that we are working as a group together in our tech active classroom to work out a real-life math problem.
Being part of a tech active classroom makes learning fun, and I enjoy being able to talk with my peers when solving problems.
And when we're working in teams, it actually makes new concepts easier to understand, and I just personally prefer it.
In the video, our team is writing and graphing an algebraic equation to model the cost of going to the movies with a group of friends and sharing a large popcorn.
After we created our equation, we entered our data into the spreadsheet and graphed the results on RTIs. We used a movable line to make sure that our equation was linear, but it seemed to not be linear.
To our surprise, we could not draw a straight line, as she said. With the help of our teacher, we discovered that all linear equations can be graphed, but that when they represent real-world situations, there are limitations.
For example, in real-world problems, you cannot have a negative time or a negative number of people.
When solving our movie problem, we logically reasoned that if no one went to the movies, no money would be spent. However, because our equation included a fixed cost, the cost of large popcorn, the output for 0 people, according to our equation, was $4.50, even if nobody went.
This is why our graph was not linear when we included the ordered pair 0, 0 in our spreadsheet.
Therefore, we concluded that the number of people represented by our variable, p, would have to be greater than or equal to 1 for our equation to be linear and to make sense.
We both love working in our tech active classroom, and not only because it helps us see and make sense of new math concepts, but it also allows us to work in teams and be in charge of independently learning.
Thank you.
This is a great illustration of students being engaged with real-world data, tools, and activities they will encounter in college, on the job, and in life. We know that students learn best when they are actively engaged in solving meaningful problems. To continue with our presentation, Booker Middle Dragonfly poet Will Egan is going to share his poem entitled Platypus.
Platypus by Will Egan. Try to stereotype a platypus. That's just the thing. You can't. The platypus is the epitome of unity. It's a little bit of everything. The bill of a duck, the feet of an otter, the tail of a beaver, the hair of a dog, and it lays eggs. Scientists can't even classify it. So don't let society try to classify you into a specific group of people. Make and follow your own path. Or be like a platypus and follow 5 different paths. As strange as it sounds, make the platypus your role model. Don't let anyone interfere with your inner platypus. Thank you.
Let's give Will another round of applause. Ponder the words of that poem. As you can see, it truly does take a village to educate children. Now, I invite you to direct your attention once again to the TV monitors. You will have an opportunity to witness Miss Macintosh teacher Miss Dorothy Rieger and her students Emma Hutchinson and Hannah Russo showcase innovative learning methods that integrate the use of supportive technologies, inquiry, and problem-based approaches and higher-order thinking skills.
Good evening. My name is Dorothy Rieger, and I teach 7th and 8th grade science at Macintosh Middle School on a multi-level gifted team. And I feel very privileged to be here as a tech active teacher, and thank you for this opportunity. So what you're seeing on the screen is, I think, is a perfect example of how I engage lesson design, and that is actually blended with the tech active tools, and which those actually tremendously enhance our scientific inquiry lesson, not to mention that definitely prepare our students to take their place on a college and career path. So you witness the technology displays graph and images so quickly, so students can analyze the data quickly and use the critical thinking skills and come up to conclusions almost instantly.
So, did I really change chemically or no? No. So what kind of change is it then? It's a physical change because you just changed the states of matter.
That's so cool, man.
I've never seen something like this before.
Oh!
There's lights and it's getting darker and brighter at the same time.
I see kind of lightning and it's burning. Bright lightning.
It's kind of like brown.
I see pink and red.
Pink and red. Look what happened to the probe.
Whoa.
So there's a lot of carbon dioxide.
And what is the light?
Yeah. It's like burnt on the bottom.
And it burned on the bottom.
It's like burning.
Okay, what do you see? It's like burning.
So is that reversible?
No.
Can you get your gummy bear back?
No.
Okay.
Smoke and what?
Smoke and light and bubbles. Bubbles and what? Heat. Heat. Very good.
As you saw, we were investigating the physical and chemical changes in matter by conducting an engaging experiment to classify the reactions. In the modeling, we learned that the indicators of a chemical change are production of a new substance, color, light, sound, or heat. We were asked to document our lab experience in order to create a digital portfolio that shows evidence of physical and chemical changes, including photos, graphs, and videos.
First, we placed the gummy bear in water and observed what happened. Then we placed a gummy bear in potassium chlorate and continued making observations. During the investigation, we videotaped the reactions and used carbon dioxide sensors to determine if a new substance was produced during the reactions. While the reaction was taking place, we attempted to observe as many of the indicators of chemical changes as possible. To ensure that we did not miss any of the indicators, we used tech-active web cameras to record the reaction so we could watch our classroom experience again and reflect on what we observed.
During our experiment, we noticed that a particular smoke was produced, but we did not know if a new substance was being formed. We used the carbon dioxide sensors and the touchscreen computers to see a live graph of the amount of CO2 above the test tube. When we observed a large spike in the amount of CO2, we inferred that the smoke definitely contained some, so therefore a new substance was in fact produced. With the sensor, we were able to prove with quantitative data the formation of a new substance.
Once we had the recording of the experiment, we were then able to compile a digital lab portfolio in which we showed the evidence we collected to prove if a chemical change had taken place. Without the tech-active equipment, we would not have been able to review the experiment multiple times, and our evidence of the indicators would have been only drawings. However, with the experiment, we can take snapshots of our video clips and turn them into our digital portfolios that we can share with our teacher and other students.
The tech-active classroom also allows us to use cutting-edge technology to enhance our lab investigations. It's so much easier to follow the scientific process by developing hypotheses and using scientific evidence to lead discussions this way. Ultimately, we were able to make individual and group analysis that allows us to connect with the content and make it meaningful in our lives.
The tech-active classrooms also allow us to be more precise and accurate scientists. We can conduct investigations using advanced scientific equipment and access measurements that are impossible without the equipment. This increases our own reflections on our thinking and learning. Technology of Tech Active creates a safe environment where we are not afraid to make mistakes. We learn to accept criticism with fear, have a great time, and most importantly, learn science in a new innovative style that will ultimately lead us to be successful in rigorous college classes in STEM-related field.
Thank you to Mrs. Dorothy Rieger and her students. What a wonderful emphasis on how teachers can provide rigorous and engaging lessons that are embedded into everyday learning. As you can see, Sarasota County middle schools are comprehensive in their approach of preparing 21st century learners to be college and career ready. Incorporating STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics into the curriculum and culture of our schools help to address the educational requirements for 21st century preparedness. I myself am a product of that vision and would like to close with my own performance from Little Women called Astonishing. Following my performance, the next voice you will hear will be our own Executive Director of Middle Schools, Mrs. Karen Rose. To know if I can be astonishing. There's a life that I am meant to lead, a life like nothing I have known. I can feel it, and it's far from here. I've got to find it on my own. Surrendering modesty and grace. I will not disappear without a trace. I'll shout and start a riot. Be anything but quiet. Christopher Columbus, I'll be astonishing. Astonishing. Astonishing.
Thank you to Booker Middle School and McIntosh Middle School principals, Mrs. LaShawn Frost and Dr. Harriet Moore. and a special recognition to our teachers and students for their talents, and a preview of STEM in our middle schools. We appreciate our Superintendent, Lori White, and our school board for the tremendous support that you give us. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Brown.
I'd like to thank you all for coming here. Things have changed. Back in the day, when I went to school, we didn't have those computers. Computers weren't even invented yet. But that you're all doing these algebra and all these other things. Algebra was something that was in high school and only for some kids in high school, and not until your sophomore or junior year. Anyone who thinks our kids aren't doing as good as when we went to school haven't seen what's happening in our schools. You guys are way ahead, miles and miles ahead of where we were when we were your age. And I'm just so excited about what the future holds for you and for all of us, too, because of you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I deleted somebody, so I can't remember who else wanted to speak. Ms. Sucker.
I know I hit the button. It probably was me you deleted. I just want to thank you all for being here. What a truly great evening this has been. From the time we walked in here to hear the jazz band playing outside to your performance today, just thank you so much. You all look like you're enjoying it, too. It's not a tedious thing for you because you all have smiles on your face and dedicated to what you're doing. I want to thank the teachers because without you, this would not be possible. And the principals for having the vision to be able to enable the students to be who they are. So thank you all for your coming tonight and for giving us just a sampling of what it is that we have in our schools. And I don't know how anyone can go anyplace else but our public schools because they truly are fantastic.
Ms. Ziegler?
Thought someone was before me. Well, thank you everyone for your wonderful performance tonight. I like when I go out to some of the schools and visit and see the tech active classrooms. I, for one, benefited very much from collaborative learning environments, and I know it really opens you up to a whole world of dialogue and question and answers and also engagement. So I love seeing it. I think we're very fortunate in Sarasota County to have that, and I love hearing back from students who love it. So thank you tonight for your wonderful performance and for letting us see a little bit more into what you guys are learning every day.
Ms. Goodwin.
Well, I really enjoyed the performances. The guitars were just magical. I don't think they've ever sounded as good. The band out front was fabulous. All of the STEM performances, the STEAM performances, you all are remarkable students. And thank you to the administration of the schools. Thank you to Karen Rose and her staff. And it's always great for us to get together and hear this. I also want to shout out a thank you to the Gulf Coast Community Foundation, who have been big partners with us in this endeavor. And I know that collaboration and teamwork and shoulder partners and the collaboration that our students have makes learning fun. And it also makes students accountable to the other students in their peer group as opposed to a teacher saying, hey, Johnny, or hey, Susie, wake up. And I've been on both sides of that before. So I want to just thank you again. Remarkable, great job, wonderful performances. And we'll look forward to hearing some of you at some of the plays and other things that you'll be presenting throughout the year. Thank you so much.
And I certainly agree with what the other board members said. As a trumpet player at Brookside Junior High School back in the day under Bernie Reitmeyer, I really got a lot out of music in middle school, so I'm sure that you all too. I also wanted to publicly recognize Karen Rose. Haven't got a chance to yet, and congratulate her and tell her how proud I am of being executive director of middle schools. And that concludes our special presentations. If y'all don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, feel free to bail. Well, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff if you guys want to stay around and watch. Give me those things. Next time you get to go. Okay, we'll move on to hearing of citizens. For those of you that filled out a card and haven't spoke before, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. In front of Zoe Marshall, the light will come on green. In 2 minutes, it'll go to yellow, and then give you a warning at 3 minutes. Your time is up. First speaker is Tracy Roll. Rowell. Just straighten me out when you get up there, okay?
Tracy Rowley from Northport. The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. Noam Chomsky. I drove to Orlando last Wednesday for the Florida Department of Education Board of Education meeting. What I witnessed was a complete disconnect, downright disrespect, and utter disdain to those of us in the front lines. We are Opt-Out Sarasota, part of the Opt-Out Florida network. We are promoting civil disobedience against unjust laws, policy, and developmentally inappropriate practices. We are not asking for your support. We don't need your permission. What we do want is for you to get out of our way. Florida statute requires Dr. Cantalupo and the district to provide a test. It does not require students to answer questions. Statute most assuredly doesn't require you to punish students or deny them independent learning time. Your job is to put a test in front of each student. That and only that is within the scope of your positions. We have the right for our students not to answer any questions, which is what we will continue to promote. I've been lucky enough to do some events lately, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback. And I will finish with, an unconscionable amount of education is predicated on measurable units of academic knowledge. We lose track of the immeasurable, invaluable building blocks of trust, respect, acceptance, and love. These are not only the foundation of successful learning, but also successful living. Constructing measurable units of academic knowledge should not displace or even take precedence over it. Ellen Notbum. Thank you.
Next speaker is Christy Warner.
You guys know I was going to get up here and tear it up, but I can't follow that. My son's going to have to go to Booker as well. I have something for you guys. I have to send my son to Booker because that was amazing. Here you go. It's for you. And for you. And for you guys. Here you go. Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie. I imagine there are 200 schools in Sarasota County, and Booker is maybe 1%. None of those kids cared about their scores on standardized testing. None of them. I can guarantee you none of them do. They don't care if they fail. Doesn't matter because they can sing, play guitar, they can do science labs. They're very happy. So what I wanted to talk about tonight was a little bit about what Tracy said. I mean, I've stood before you, sent you countless emails. You know, what we're not discussing are solutions. That's what I'd like to do with my 3 minutes tonight. The solution is not to reform, it's to transform. Reform means to improve or amend what's already wrong, corrupt, or unsatisfactory. Transform is to make a thorough or dramatic change in composition or structure, like Booker is doing. They are amazing. There is a difference, and you have to feel and understand the difference between transform and reform. To restore reason to assessment, accountability, and sanity to our schools, we need full-scale suspension and an assessment overhaul. After the Florida BOE meeting last week, it seems against all constituents, pediatricians, educators, and parents' concerns that suspending testing's probably not going to happen. So here are a few suggestions that can get us going in the right direction. We need to revise our standards as doctors, educators, and content experts deem necessary. We need to rethink assessment from the classroom out to meet instructional needs, such as no longer grouping children by age, but actually grouping them together by their abilities and their levels of learning. We need to design ways to combine vital information, such as surveys on school resources and the climate, to provide comprehensive and effective public reporting. Determine how educators, parents, students, and communities can best collaborate to improve schools. Later on the agenda, I noticed there are a ton of independent grants for schools without using testing and data. In excess of $50 million to redesign and re-innovate schools without testing and data. Look up, search the Super School Project. Then just establish a timeline for implementation. What kind of assessments could replace standardized tests? You know, this really should be a no-brainer because this is how it was when we were all in school, but I'm going to go ahead and address it anyway. The most important assessment data comes from ongoing student work, like you saw. These can include projects, performance tasks, essays, science lab, oral presentations, computer simulations, research reports, teacher-made tests and quizzes. Schools can use portfolios and learning records, systematic collections and evaluations of ongoing student products. Opt-out is far bigger than just refusing the test. It is the repudiation of hosts of corporate reforms that include Common Core, high-stakes testing, school closings, and evaluations of teachers by useless test scores. Our ideas on transformation and innovation are being soundly rejected by politicians, state representatives. Andy Tuck, please don't let it be you.
Thank you.
I brought to you guys samples, samples of the third grade, okay, math portion of the FAFSA.
Time's up. Just want to ask you real quick, do you have a problem with these?
Yeah, that's what I was going to explain.
Okay, I don't want you to explain it, but if you have a problem with it, then I have a problem because I don't see an issue with this. But okay, your time's up. Thank you. Next is Sal Serbin. Yeah, Zoe, can you start that over?
Can I start over then? Yeah. Okay. Sal Serbin, the Executive Director of the American Indian Movement of Florida, member of the Assiniboine Sioux Tribe from the Fort Peck Reservation, and a journalist. I'm here short of litigation to demand that the mascot for Venice Elementary and High School be changed. I'm offended that my previous request to change the Venice Indian mascots were ignored. I'm offended that the Venice High students have created an even more offensive, degrading mascot than the current version. Apparently, the current mascot was not racist or offensive enough. So the Venice students decided to create their own Indian mascot, which the Venice students, teachers, administrators, and alumni have created a hostile environment for any American Indian that may attend or be exposed to the Venice schools. I'm offended that the Sarasota School Board, Venice students, teachers, administrators, and parents have no problem with insulting and mocking an entire culture of Americans, not immigrants, but American Indians. I did reach out to the people of Venice and Sarasota County by holding an educational gathering at Fogartyville. Unfortunately, I had a lot of resistance from the local newspapers and the Venice schools to let everyone know they were invited to the gathering. Twitter and Instagram accounts are posting some of the most offensive, insulting things I've ever read in my entire life. Is this a representation of what Sarasota students are being taught about the American Indian culture? Or do the students feel they have a right to be racist? The Sarasota School Board is promoting racism and a hostile learning environment directed specifically at American Indians. As a reporter, I have downloaded all of the insulting Twitter and Instagram accounts and the petition that's still being circulated on the internet to keep the Indian mascot, and I will post the accounts and name the petition signers for the world to see what the people of Sarasota think and feel about American Indians. The fact that potential employers and colleges look at social media when they're considering hiring or allowing a person to attend a college, the vetted students' racist behavior will follow them around for the rest of their life and could keep them from getting hired or attending the college of their choice. We do have school choice in Florida. I would like to encourage all students and parents to reconsider having your child attend the Venice schools. Do you want the risk of having your child or a student being labeled a racist? Let's stop the racist, hostile environment that exists in Sarasota County schools so that all students can feel safe and proud to attend any Sarasota school without being insulted, attacked, or mocked for being a member of the American Indian culture or any minority culture. Thank you.
Final speaker is Jennifer Mason. Did they? Hold on. Did mic go off again?
Okay. Superintendent White and the board, thank you for having me. I'm Jennifer Mason, and I'm here to voice my opposition to changing the school date to as early as August 10th. First, it's hot. My kids came home sweaty and exhausted, and we started on the 24th this year. It doesn't support our families. They can't visit us in May because they're in school, and now they can't visit us in August either. You're taking away a month where most families take vacations. There's also a lot of proof that starting as late as Labor Day brings a lot of economic benefit to our area. Other facts also support a later start date. A simple internet search provided me the top math and reading scores by state. I consistently found Massachusetts leading the list. Maryland and New Jersey came up near the top as well. So I decided to look up their school start dates. This is where I could have been shut down very quickly, but guess what? All three of these top states either started right before Labor Day or after Labor Day, with Massachusetts starting 2 days after Labor Day. So why are they doing better in their testing? Have you seen our kids before Christmas? I have. They're excited. They're not focused. Over the holidays, the kids can relax and have less pressure on them while studying. A University of Texas study claimed that an earlier start date did not improve test scores, and research said that the Christmas break actually aids in the retention of information and on test scores. Another study from our own Florida Department of Education showed no correlation between school start dates and scores. In fact, some students I spoke with said they prefer studying over the holidays to take their tests afterwards. I also heard mention of our schools being compared to Georgia, which I find funny because their test scores are lower than ours. So I don't know why we're doing that. Maybe instead of calling the summer brain drain, we should be calling it brain rejuvenation. Ask Massachusetts. They're getting the scores and they're getting August off. I'm sure there's a lot of people who support the earlier date to finish the semester before Christmas, but our scores do not support it. Perhaps your reasoning is to follow a college schedule, but we have very few years with our young children to visit family in other states or to have them come here, and August is a precious time for us. The pressure of college schedule does not need to be put on our young children. The Save Our Summers organization fought to change the school start date to be no earlier than 2 weeks before Labor Day. But now there's a committee who decided to change it. Did they have the facts I mentioned? Were they aware that the start time has no impact on test results? That our kids do better on exams after Christmas? That the kids want to take the exams after Christmas? Are they aware that the best school districts start after Labor Day? Were they the ones who compared us to Georgia? This means we'll push closer to August 10th every year, and a date closer to Labor Day would actually be better for our test scores. If the heat of summer and family vacations in August are not enough,
15 seconds. Go ahead, finish up.
If the fact that scores do not increase with an earlier start date is not enough, if states having higher test scores by starting later is not enough, if our kids telling us they want to relax and review over the holiday is not enough, then please show up on August 15th and carry my kids' book bags around their vast campus in 90-degree weather. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes hearing of citizens. We will move on to the consent agenda. If I could have a motion, please.
Move the approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If you would vote, please. And the consent agenda passes 5-0. I pulled item 40, and I'd like Scott Lempe to come forward and just give a little bit of discussion. Item 40 was approval of construction manager's pre-construction services contract for the Suncoast Technical College South Campus new classroom buildings and county library project.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kovach. As the chair said, this is the item that awards pre-construction to Willis A. Smith, our chosen construction management firm on this project. Probably most significant about this motion, I think, is it's a very visible indicator that the project is now back on track. You know that we've been derailed for a little bit. I think that is all now behind us, and this is an indication that we're now back on track. Now, I would share with you that any delay that's been associated with the past several months isn't going to show up in a real meaningful way in the construction program. We're still looking at probably worst case mid 2017 for opening of the new school. So while a moderate delay, nothing significant. What this motion really does is award the contract to Willis A. Smith to begin working with our design team. We'll bring them aboard. We'll sit them down with the design team. They'll start consulting, advising us, primarily on things like price, as we make decisions on construction methods and those kinds of things. They'll talk to us about the wisdom of those choices and what some alternatives might be, and it will end essentially with the recognition of the guaranteed maximum price for the construction of the facility. So that's kind of what the motion is about. While I have just a few minutes with the board, one other related thing.
A few minutes?
Less than 3. 15 seconds. One of the other things that's out there relative to this project, as you know, is the purchase of property. We entered into a contract with the bank who owns the property, and part of that contract said closing is contingent upon the school board working with the city of Northport to plat the property. And if you've been through that process, it's painfully long, but we're just about at the end. In fact, this Thursday, the Planning Commission in Northport will vote on the plat. The commission itself will vote on November the 24th. So right now we have our real estate attorney drawing up papers, so with some luck we'll close on the property before winter break, but should have approval of the plat by Thanksgiving break. So we're in pretty good place.
Great. That's good. Any other comments? I just asked Scott to come up and speak because I just wanted the community to know that we are moving forward in Northport. Thanks. All right, we'll move on to new business.
Move the approval of the new job description for graphic designer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? You would vote, please. And that motion passes 5-0. Do we have any announcements or, boy, I hate to ask that question, but go ahead. Announcements or communications? Miss Zucker.
Don't lose me again. Yes. I'd like to talk about two things that I share with the board. That was that I had the privilege of being, Mrs. Brown and I were at the reaccreditation for Booker High School last Sunday, and what a treat that was. Not only was there a performance there, but you had it was just delightful, warm. We had dinner there out on the courtyard. It was a fabulous time. And to see all of the students and how they were interacting with the adults and how I had a great time. I don't know what else to say about it. Would you like to comment on it?
I was a part of the reaccreditation ceremony at Booker. I was able to give a speech in the theater to over 160 people on several programs at Booker, and one of those is my favorite, the tutoring program that I started at Booker. It's a peer-to-peer tutoring program. But yes, as Ms. Zucker was saying, the reaccreditation ceremony was very warm and family-oriented, and it was just a great experience for us all.
My husband and I ended up sitting at a table with, and this is my husband, not me, the students were all gravitating towards us. We had 2, then we had 6 of you, then there were 8 of you. It was fantastic. And what an exchange between the 2 generations. It was fantastic. And the other one thing I'd like to talk about is I spent today at Bay Haven Basic Plus reading science grants. Not grants, reading science fair projects. And that was another eye-opener. Could you see the kids are using the math that I can't even begin to me, if you have 20 and you take away 17, you have 3. But that's too simple. That's not how it's done. So reading the projects was quite a challenge today, but I learned a lot. It was a day well spent.
Our next meeting of the board will be our monthly work session, November the 17th, from 10 to 2:30. We'll have a school board reorganizational meeting November the 17th at 2:45, and our next school board meeting will be November 17th at 3 p.m. I want to thank Mr. Hodson for joining us this evening, and we look forward to you. I think you'll be here for another couple of meetings. Ms. Brown.
We wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for this past year and the service and the leadership you've given us, and we have a little token of our appreciation.
Want me to open it? I just want to say it's kind of a cliche, but it really is an honor and a privilege to be chair of this board. This is my 4th time, and every time I've gotten just a real thrill out of doing it. It really does mean a lot to me, and I really do appreciate it.
And you've led us in the way of making sure we stay efficient and on track. Not always easy with all of us 4 girls.
It's a giant beer mug. It's a wine cooler, but thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Ice bucket, I appreciate that. And with that, we're adjourned.